Hello everybody, this is Sumadhur Shakya. I'm going to show in this video from where I left in the last one, and include, let's say, joining the external dataset from the CSV directly to the shapefile in ArcGIS desktop, and also go some basic legend or exporting the map related essentials. Okay, so first let's start off with some of the datasets that I created. Let's say I'm going to go to spreadsheets, and for join I have two types of data set. One is for the corn, the other one for the soybean, for the lettuce. Now for the data set of corn, I have, let's say for the corn, I have the state FIPS code, or ANSI code as they call it now, and the ag district, and I also have the county code. So what I've done is I've created this FFIPS codes. Now I've deliberately misspelled it so then I know it's created by me and not the system. The last three digits are the county FIPS code. The first two digits are the state FIP code. Yeah. So if you don't know how to create that already, then it's the state code times 1000 plus the county FIP code. That gives you a unique set of ID for every county in the United States. So once you have that, you can copy it down and paste it as values. Now since it is already done, so I'm going to go back, and this is about the state. So the previous data was by county, this is by the state. So I'm going to show you how to use both of these. Okay, so this is a blank spreadsheet. So now let's say this is where I left off. First I'm going to switch to my data view from the layout view here, and then I'm going to add those two spreadsheets first of all. So I'm going to add the spreadsheets that I want to join. So go to spreadsheets, for join I want to join corn working 2, and I also want to join bring in lettuce and romaine production for 2016. Now before I go any further, I want to switch to the view of the layout, I mean for the whole United States, and go to the table of contents or drawing order list, and uncheck check the states, and uncheck the ones that I do not want to see at this time. I don't want to see Monterey County. Now so first things first, let's explore how the state looks like. Now the state has the properties in the background. The one thing that's always going to be unique is the state EFP. This is also mentioned sometimes as GeoID, which is repeated in this data set. Now remember, this is all downloaded from Census Tiger shapefiles. The other thing unique expected is the state acronyms. The names in this case should also be a good matching zip, but I usually tend to rely on the numbers, let's say state EFP or the GeoID. So now as you can see, GeoID is stored, it's a number that is stored as a text because it's aligned to the left. Yeah. So if I don't have it already, I create a GeoID N, wherein the way you calculate that is, let's say, field calculator. This is equals to GeoID times 1. So this would number be calculated as such that 54 times 1. Yeah. If you don't know how to do that, then let me say delete field, and I'm going to create one for you. Okay, so it cannot already create. Let's say, let me create a new one. Let's say, oops. Okay, so it's not going to let me delete or add, but I think I've covered this in a different video set, where you create a new field, add field, and you create a type of field called double. You name it, and then you can calculate it equals to GeoID times 1. Okay. Now this becomes my key joining column. So when I bring in, let's say, right click my state file, I go to join, and when I go to join, I choose the corn production. Now corn production was by state, so I cannot use that file, because if I was to use that, I'll have multiple rows for every state. So I only want to join this lettuce and romaine. I want to choose the field that I want to join to the shapefile, so that's GOIDN, and accordingly it will give me the FFIPS underscore N. You remember in the spreadsheet I calculated both the number and the text, okay, because I mean sometimes it's helpful to have both of them, so then at this point in time of joining you're not let's say limited in terms of proceeding. So hit on validation. The only thing it will say is some of the reserved words that may not have matched properly, so for my purpose that is okay. Hit OK, and then for whatever was in spreadsheet now should be visible to you in these let's say to how to say, to the right of the attribute table, whatever was existing in the shapefile. So this is where all those things should show up. Now another thing that is helpful is because I have too many null values, right? So I will go back and say remove all joins and do the join again just to show the difference. I will go back to the lettuce romaine file, choose the field from the shapefile. It will try to match on its own by looking at the type of properties. So at this point I will say only keep the matching records and then hit OK. So see, instead now I do not have the null values. It only keeps the values that for which it had some matching points. So it matched the column of GOID in the shapefile with the FIPS number code in the CSV, and accordingly the moment the match occurred, that's the only values that were left in. Now since this join is temporary, I want to export dataset using the data frame, export it, and I want to name this as, let's say, somewhere in output. Yep. So I have these files already because I did this before but I didn't get recorded, so I'm doing this again. So I will name it and I replace it. I hit OK. I add this, and immediately that I add it, yeah, so I want to remove the join from my original file such that it is ready for me to be used next time. Okay, now once I've done this, I'm also going to show you the joining by county, then I'll proceed with how to export it properly with a map. Okay, now let me bring in the county shapefile. At this point I will check the county shapefile. Now I do have something selected in there, so clear selected features. So right click, join and relate, join using the corn. Yes, I do want to join the corn. I wanted to join it to the GOIDN that I've already created. Then I choose the FIPS, FFIPS, so I know it's been created by me and I want to keep only the matching records. Hit OK. If you're unsure about some of the matchings, always use validate join. Yeah, all it does some values, for example year or some things that it says they are supposed to be reserved, so you cannot use them as joining ones. So see, as of now it only kept the joining the counties that had any type of non-zero production or any values that matched. Okay, so if you look at the attribute table, now I have my corn grain production bushels. Yeah, they are stored as number, no commas, no special characters and everything, so it has to be purely number, otherwise it will not show up in the symbology tab when it's time to make symbols out of them. Okay, so at this point I would say right click, data, export, data frame, and go back to the file that I had previously exported and replace it. Hit OK, and the moment it is done exporting, yes, I want to add it to my table of contents, and I want to go back and remove the join, so then it's back to my original condition, such that in future when need be I can use it again unchanged. Okay, now at this point let's go back to the state file. Okay, now let's say, no, this is the normal California state only. Now let's say where the lettuce and romaine was. Now let's in this case I only have two fields that I want to portray. Okay, so I want to switch to my data view. Okay, there should have been some way to dock it. Okay, okay, There we go. So just double click on the tab and it docks it. Okay, now the moment I'm here, I like the original one better. Okay, so it's hidden or folded to the left. Now 75% maybe. Okay, so since the United States map is somewhat horizontal, I want to switch the position of this map chart that's going to be exported, like here, and choose the ISA page sizes A4 landscape finish. And the moment I do that, I lose all the accessories that were there in terms of legend and so on. So I'm going to bring it down here, center it a little bit. I don't need to see all the counties, just the state files in the background would be good. Zoom it again, keep it in here in between, and then at this point I also want to label all the other states. So I am currently on lettuce and romaine file here. So go to symbology, add quantities, let's say, and I want the lettuce and romaine production file to be visible. Right click, format labels, 0. I don't want any after decimal places, number of digits. Show 1000 separators if possible, number, yeah, okay, and hit OK. In this case it's not a whole lot because there are only 2 things I'm showing, but just for the sake of accuracy, I'm also going to show all the other states as well. So go to labels, click on name, somewhat darker, maybe a little grayish, hit OK. Now all the states should be visible. No, it's not. Okay, now they should be visible. I don't want the full spelling, I only want the acronym. Okay, so this is getting a little slow. Okay, attribute tables. Which of these have the acronyms? Acronym column is state STUPS. Okay, STUPS. Oops, nope. So then I go to again, or double click on all state files and then go to labels. I'm going to choose STUSPS, or yeah, you get the idea, right? So 12, don't want it black, but I want somewhat darker gray. Hit OK. Now if that's the case, I don't want the California file to be showing, it's separate. I only want the grain production file. Where's my grain production file? I don't. There. Yeah. So I want this to show the quantities in there, but not the label. So I did go through the labeling process. Okay, now I want to show what these color means, or what the information this represents. So I will go to the things one by one. Now this is a title. Instead I start using text, and immediately I insert it, I start typing. Then I hit enter, click somewhere, then I know where it is, double click it, change symbol, and here I choose the font size, let's say 24, bold, and hit OK, and I say that this is lettuce and romaine production 2016, and hit OK. Then drag it to the top. I can also position and adjust the map when the correct frame is selected. Change its dimensions a little bit, maybe, and then go to insert dynamic text. I can add in all these things, for example the coordinate system, but that also means that I'll have to make some additions. So keep things simple. I'm going to keep using the text again and again, but for now let's put in all the essential components like legend. You can go through the options that it gives you, various fonts and colors and formats for legends. I'm going to just hit preview and finish. It's a shortcut way of putting things in there. Then I have the legend. Now it signifies what these color represents, right? The next thing I can do is insert north arrow. This is essential to say as to what your map represents in terms of north and south. So at this point I usually like to put it on top right, but since there's a gap here, or let's put it right there, that's fine too. And the other things that are left is scale bar. So I'm going to choose the one with the miles on it, because in America we still use miles. So the scale on the map shows how much does it represent on the actual surface. Then insert scale text, again the one with the miles, and drag it to position it different places. Okay, and then insert again text, and immediately start typing in something so then I don't lose it, and then bring it somewhere here, and I'm going to double click on it and say map created by Sumadhur Shakya. Well, why forget the doctor? Okay, hit OK, put it in here, and then also at this point, I mean, you can also do copy paste, bring this information in here somewhere, and then what I want to do is use the projection system. So double click on the layer, go to the source, click on USA contiguous, select it, Control C, hit OK, go back to this one, paste it here, get rid of all the underscores because this is not a file name that we have to worry about spaces. So make it like this, and projection system, yeah, and you can put it somewhere here. Okay, so at this point, if you're satisfied with this, you can adjust the framing and all that thing. If it's within the frame or around the frame, you can adjust it to your satisfaction. But these are some of the critical components that should be there. Who created the map? What system was it created using the projection system? What are the things that are being shown on the map in what terms? And then the heading itself. Now the way it helps is in the PowerPoint. Let's say if today you're using this, you can always crop this selectively such that you can cut out the topic and use the last year's lettuce and romaine production. So it always helps to keep this heading out of this zone. Okay, so then tomorrow if you have to, you can crop it and reuse your maps that were created. Similarly, you have the option to keep the map created information within the frame or outside the frame. I leave that decision up to you. Now at this point in time, let me save this map before I lose it. Let's say any changes. So 2_1. Okay, now at this point, when I go export map, I will go to the home, maps, and I will name this. I usually like to export them as PNG files, or EMF is also fine, or JPEG, but I prefer PNG, such that you created at least 300 dots per inch level, 300 dpi. This is the least amount of acceptable resolution required for any type of publishing. And then I usually use background for no color. I mean, you can use whatever color you want, but that I like to prefer have the preference for that. Then let me name this as lettuce and romaine, and I'm going to start with number 1. Okay, such that when I go to the folder of map, I see all the maps created in a certain order. Okay, so I like to name them such that they come out sorted. And I can do the same thing now, since I've done this for this the production by state. I can also do the same thing for production by corn, except that my title is different. So let me correct that. Corn production in bushels for 2016. Okay, and this is by county. Yeah, now I want to get back to the zoom level that is appropriate for this one. I can zoom in a little more and then readjust its positions within the frame. I can zoom in probably a little more. No, that's too much. Okay, so I'll stick to this level. Now at this point I do notice that the boundary lines of counties are taking the attention away from the counties that do have production. So I'm going to do few things. One, all of these blue counties that do have any type of production are not showing me which counties are making higher production and which of them are low. So to highlight that level of detail from the data, I'm going to choose again the symbology, quantities, and use the values of congruent production. Right click, format labels, make sure this is 0. I mean, that's what I like to do. I mean, unless you have a different need. Show 1000 separators, yes. And then right click on the symbols, property for all symbols, and then I'm going to remove the boundaries for all of these boxes, because some of these boxes are so small that the boundaries are taking a lot more space than the county itself. So come on, what happened? Where is it? Okay, no. Okay, properties for all symbols. Okay, maybe let me get done with this first and then I'll deal with this again. Okay, so this is how it shows up with the color, and then format properties for all symbols. Okay, somehow I think it's stuck somewhere on my computer. Let me try to show you how this works on individual one. See, hollow, outline width, I can choose no color. So instead of doing this one by one, there's an option where you can do this for all of them together, when you choose that properties for all symbols type of thing, and it lets you do that. But I don't want to continue recording for no good reason, waiting for the system to respond, so I'm doing it this way. Okay, but you can go through by setting the properties for all symbols, so you don't have to do this one by one. Okay, then hit OK. Now at this point this counties are on top of the state map. Yeah, so maybe it was let's say a good idea to have let's say for this one, yeah, somewhat. So I added the boundaries back for the lowest level of production. Now if I go back, I see that my label is gone for this layer. Okay, so I'm going to click on to this one, oops, this arrow, and then hit delete, and then insert legend again. Okay, and preview and finish, and so now you have the legend for all types of crops as well. Okay, so then you hit save again, and then let's say if you want to choose to change either the font or something, then you double click, go to change symbols and so on. You can do all that, and then hit export map and go to, let's say, 2 corn production bushels county, and it remembers your last setting, so it's 300 dpi or more, true color, transparent, no color, that's fine, and then hit save. Yeah, so I hit save again, I close the document, save changes to this, no, I already created new one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to insert this in a blank presentation. So let's say this is the file that when I open PowerPoint, I mean yours could be a little different. Now let's say insert a new slide. Okay, I don't know why these were there. So let's say I open an absolutely new slide with nothing on it. Yeah, this is Oh, this is something with from Camtasia. So I just want a simple PowerPoint. Okay, so next slide, I want to use absolutely blank slide. So in this I can go to insert picture, and then I can go to this place where I have all my folder. Within map I'm going to copy the path, paste it here. First thing is lettuce. Okay, so you see this, so it takes care of the edges and the positioning by default, saves me a little bit of time. I hit Control M again. It should add up a new slide. Okay, it's not working on this machine, so another blank slide, insert pictures. Now you see how the naming helps. It organizes the maps for me. Even if it was to be like a detail, everything would show up in certain orders. That's how the numbering and the space between them helps. Okay, so it saves time, so that's what that way you can get more things done in less amount of time. The next thing is the county, corn production by county. So I know this is the case. Now at this point, let's say if I was to use it in 2018, it's not relevant. I can always go back and use the crop feature to change the crop. Like I can crop this thing out. Yeah, so I can use only this much of data set of the map. Okay, but as of now I'm okay with what I have, and then I can share this with somebody who's of interest to me at a place that I want. So let's say I want to save this as oops. Okay, I'm gonna paste it same place where my maps are located. Okay, for maps in PPT. Okay, and there you have it. It's ready to be used. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, I'll still be here till 5 o'clock. Feel free to stop by. Thanks. Bye.